Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2019 Summer Promotion Tournament here for the LCK. KT Rolster lead 1-0 and a pretty standard victory, to be honest. Didn't really feel like VSG did enough in the early game to stop KT Rolster from rolling over the top.
But how about changing all 5 players? Is that enough to come back in this series? We can't know the answer to that, but this is
not a best
VSG
of 3
way.
anymore. It's not a best of 3 anymore. It's just 2 different teams that KT have to play.
From my casting, I have never cast a team that changed all 5 and won the series. Never happened.
Nope.
It did happen for VSG in the promotion tournament, so it has happened in the past. It's not something that's never happened, but in my casting at the highest level, there has never been a full team swap and a victory still. VSG will have best of 5s to play, whether they win today or not. They're giving everybody a chance to play in Lowell Park. Some experience here. Mightybear played over in the EU LCS. Riris has been around, played in KT Rolster many, many years ago. It definitely is experience to be subbed in, but a whole new look. And let's see if KT's picks and bans adjust, because there's a lot of difference here between the players.
Yeah, exactly. Moo and Minit going to be moving in instead of Veritas and Pure on that bottom side of the map as well. Kuro in the audience.
And Gorilla to his right as well.
Yeah.
A lot of pro gamers here. That's Hojin. Hojin and Prey. A lot of Rox Tigers sitting in a line for members of Rox Tigers. Tigers 2015, we should say. Supporting
Smeb, of course, who is trying to get his way back into the LCK. All of these players spread themselves around the world, and you've got Prey just sitting at home, doing his stream thing, and he's having a great time doing it as well. Look at the big smile on his face. Prey, no more pressure of being on King Zone. None of that.
Isn't it weird that they represent LEC, LPL, and 2 retired streamers?
Yeah.
Such a weird world we live in now. FLICKR TV, I guess, is who we would say that Prey and Hojin, formerly Lee, represent, but 4 members of the KOO Tigers roster that went to the finals of Worlds 2015. Those are who are in the stands. The other Rox Tiger, the other KOO Tigers playing in this match, which he really wishes he was in Atlas. This is supposed to be KT's holiday after playing in an LCK final, not relegations for KT Rolster, but Smeb watches on. Game number 2, VSG entire 5-man roster changes. Let's see how they look here. There is more members of the GC Busan team that lost 2-0 to KT in the Kesper Cup. That would, of course, be Moo and Minit, who are the bot lane of that team. Subbing in today, Moo's Ezreal popped off. He was one of our best Ezreals in the Kesper Cup. And apparently, KT respect the Sonotarik on blue side a lot more in game number 2.
Yeah, exactly right. They're saying, nope, none of that cheese. We're just going to hope that you play some standard League of Legends. Mightybear going to get targeted here with a Taliyah ban coming in, but of course Taliyah can deal with Moo and Minit possibly busting out the Avengers that were popularized in the Challengers Korea circuit by BBQ.
KT's basically banning cheese, is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So where's that VSG G2 inspired funnel call, you ask? They just banned Rakan, it'd be so funny.
Yeah, no, that would actually be classic.
They're not going to do that. Probably they're going to ban a standard champion of some sort. Sylas, for example.
Yeah, Sylas still available. There's a lot of picks that are still up. Kalista and Galio, both available. Olaf is there, but I mean, Ryan's now no longer on the squad.
Do you first pick Lucian here for Moo? Because Moo is traditionally Lucian Ezreal player, and you like Lucian the Ezreal matchup, so you can understand that. Lucian will go through, and it's going to be Alessandra first pick, so not showing anything with this first pick. Definitely in Riris' wheelhouse. He's a top lane Rumble player. He plays a lot of mages and off-meta stuff in the top lane. He's probably more likely to play Yorick than most people in the LCK. In fact, if I think of a champion that really, to me, was a big challengers pick, it was Yorick. Yorick saw a lot of pick in Korean challengers, more so than in any other region. So because of that, we'll see if Yorick Mori gets a revisit today. KT in their first round. Going to go for very much potentially BD's mid lane pick in the Galio. He's played a lot of Galio versus Lissandra in his past, but also a very safe duo of picks that could be support or mid lane.
Yeah, we always talk about having jungle mid synergy. Well, Galio and Jarvan are basically best friends when it comes to that. Galio can jump on top of him whenever he makes his way in for that cataclysmic entrance.
It just feels like this meta means more about duos of picks than ever before. Lots of jungle mid duo or jungle support duo, flex duos.
Speaking of which,
Zyra Khan is a funnel duo, also a bot lane duo. Galio Jarvan could be split across multiple lanes, but always does something together. And that's why I feel like this meta is a little bit different to any else that we've had, because we'd have champions whose mechanics work together, who could be split across multiple lanes, but are still being picked in the same round.
Well, KT thinking about locking in the LeBlanc, but now might be rounding out a bottom lane. In the end, it's going to be the Akali for either Smeb or BDD, keeping these flex picks alive across the board. In fact, all of these champions could be flexed multiple ways.
First appearance of both Smeb and Akali's, Smeb and BDD's Akali was quite poor. Smeb in particular looked way off the boil, but eventually worked himself into form. BDD's 0-1 on the pick, so it's definitely very strong in the meta, and it is the sort of flex assignment that will make VSG scratch their heads a little bit, but see if KT are fully practiced on the Akali for now.
Feeling that the Hecarim ban points towards an Akali top lane. We'll see where it does go. The Aurelia is still going to be respected regardless. Taken off the board here from VSG. They're leaving open a lot of AD carries. VSG feeling like their bottom lane is strong enough regardless, as the Kindred going to be banned away from Mightybear.
Varus Tom Kench is very happy to play into something like a Vayne that's usually an answer to Galio, so because of the power of the 2v2, you can index your bans elsewhere. They're going to ban the Kai'Sa away from Zenit, who's defaulted to the pick a lot this season. See how long he's willing to hold on to his AD carry pick. You could just take Ezreal here and be okay. Obviously, the lane phase is not going to be fantastic. Xayah would be very good against a pick comp, and because VSG are hovering two very strong pick champions of the three, it's just going to be Xayah Galio most likely, with the potential to just lift off through the Varus.
Well, I actually feel like it might just be a Rakan here for SnowFlower. He's fantastic at the champion, and they can put the Galio pretty comfortably in the mid lane. Of course, feels great when you've got a Jarvan standing beside you. Mightybear going to do his best Ryan impression by the looks of things. 3 seconds to go on this Olaf pick.
It is most played this season as well. So while Ryan is the player you most recognize, the Olaf player on VSG, Mightybear has defaulted to it. Played a handful of games for Hanwha Life last year, but that was on Zac duty. So he'll jump on Olaf, and very little info about lane assignments. Multi-way flexes happening on KT, so if you just want to pick something with strong lane presence, you now know where VSG's going, but very hard to answer all their picks where they stand.
Yeah, looks to be a potential ninja battle towards the top side of the map. Kennen going to be locked in against Smeb, as that's probably not going to happen. Don't know where the Vayne goes.
Be Vayne top, you would imagine.
Okay, that's going to be the Kayle. So it is going to be the Galio in the support position, and Smeb deciding that he wants to take the Klepto matchup with this Kayle, unless he flexes it to BDD. There are a lot of different options here.
So this is not a Kayle for lane, much more a Kayle for comp. Kayle is strong against some comps and weak against others. People just look at her as a level 16 win condition, and I think that's actually not the nuance of the pick. The ultimate negates burst. That's what it's best used for, and VSG have a pick comp, and if you can negate the Varus chain into the attempt to blow up one member with the Kayle ult, and then Kayle can just outrange and auto-attack away, that's a really good use of Kayle. So while the laning phase is going to be one where Kayle is going to have to take poke trades with Klepto or be on the defensive, it does scale very, very well against VSG's comp. They don't have as much AoE to punish it unless Kennen gets backline access. So because of that, I don't mind Kayle, but this is on the riskier ebb of Kayle matchup. It's not Kayle versus Sion whacking away with Klepto and getting free gold.
Not to mention the incredible synergy between Heroic Entrance and the Divine Judgment that comes in as well, because now that you don't get the resistances from the Heroic Entrance that was removed a long time ago, you can use the Divine Judgment to keep your target alive and then have that man advantage as the Gargoyle comes down and knocks everyone up. So you can see how the team fight is supposed to work here for KT, but it is a very curious draft, and one that was flexing a lot towards the very end.
It also could potentially be 3 losing lanes, which isn't going to be an ideal scenario to work into. Definitely going to be liking the top lane and bot lane matchup, and mid's going to be a farm fest, so that actually leaves a lot of room for Mightybear on his reintroduction to the LCK stage to put in a big performance on the Olaf. Tempo dropped around strong lanes. That sounds like an Olaf spread and butter.
Yeah, that was what KT beat in game number 1. Can they do it in game 2? KT faithful in full voice now that they have 1 win under their belt. Riris up towards this top side, and this is a very new VSG. Not the same one in game number 1, so honestly, we have to change how we speak about all of these players because we don't have the history of the first game to go on because we've had a 5-man swap.
Exactly. We can't really talk about, like you say, game 1 to game 2 adaptations outside of kind of organizational words, not
or like KT momentum,
words.
right?
Sure.
If you can speak about it purely on KT's side, but it doesn't really make a difference compared to VSG.
So I'm always torn when it's a great player like Smeb going for something that seems very bold. Because Kayle into Cannon, obviously not a great matchup. Klepto into a Cannon, also pretty bold. When we actually saw Kayle into a ranged matchup in LCK, it was fleet footwork to have a bit of sustain at the cost of high rolling and getting a skill point, or even just goal generation in a bad matchup. Yes, you can hang back, take some trades, and give up the lane phase, but giving up the lane phase against an Olaf jungle and a tempo draft is so risky, and yet that's been Smeb's decision. So is he going Klepto Kayle to say, camp top lane, I'm Klepto Kayle, how dare I go for this pick? Or is he just thinking he can outplay? We can't get it in his head, but both of those can be real possibilities, because it's going to be a tough lane.
Well, you can see Score, he's pathing towards the bottom side of the map, so no help for the Kayle in the early stages. Great sidestep there from B2D to avoid the Q. SnowFlower's already down to half health, though, so we'll see whether KT are going to once again have a rough time here on the bottom side of the map.
The Observer showed it is Unsealed Spellbook Cannon, AP Cannon very, very heavily expected from this. Been a lot of Gunblade Cannon around the world in kind of trickier matchups. We'll see. I feel he can go pretty much anything against Kayle and get away with it. So we'll see how greedy Riris is. But Ignite for laning phase, definitely a possibility here. Try to dunk on the Kayle.
Well, you can see pings out from VSG. They know exactly where Score is. That will mean that Riris can play as aggressively as he wants. Minion wave shoving towards KT effectively here. Bottom side of the map, Hail of Arrows. Going to be almost as frustrating as the volley from game number 1 in the hands of Veritas. And now we'll see how Moo is going to perform here on the LCK stage here in Lowell Park.
Mightybear's camps he's taking are pretty interesting on Olaf. On the blue side, Olaf, you can't just start the same with a leash on the bot side as often. You really want blue buff as Olaf, but his path naturally doesn't get level 3 as fast as he went for a Krug clear, and it ends at bot lane. So maybe there's a potential that he's looking for a bot lane counter gank as his primary objective. It just means that all I mean is that Olaf is farming slower in this path than you would see from most Olaf paths, and it doesn't really guarantee much. So interesting to see the blue side start.
I do like it based on where this lane is positioned. KT will shove this wave forward into a potential Mightybear gank if KT follows this minion wave in. Probably going to get it to crash into the turret though, so not a lot of onus given on to KT as Riris is straight up getting smacked around here by the Kayle in the early game, which is not what we would necessarily expect from this matchup.
Basically, he's playing towards his
gold.
Yeah, but he's playing towards his jungler's positioning. Unfortunately, his jungler has been bot side, and they don't have any vision of Score. Score has the stronger ganking jungler in the Jarvan, so this is more of a flow-on effect of where his jungler's pathing. The fact that we already said Olaf's first job seemed to be bot lane coverage after his first clear.
Yeah, and also had to go back and grab those boots, otherwise the Predator going to be completely useless, so you can understand exactly why KT had the extra breathing room. That is gone now, though, and now it's up to Mightybear to find his way to attack.
The
and it
Korean
looks like topside's going to be it.
Are very in awe of Smeb's last hitting.
Yeah, farming.
He got all the creeps.
He did.
You know, if Kayle gets every creep, it doesn't really matter who a lane opponent is. That's a pretty good win condition right there. So if you can farm every minion and not take harass, you're feeling pretty good.
Yep, well, Smeb, you can see, wants to be able to get a whole bunch more of these Klepto procs as well, and you can see he's using his entire mana bar. I haven't seen him miss a creep in a long time. There's the first one. Okay, Rem. Have to use the Circle of Frost here to deal with B2D, who doesn't have any regen so far.
All right, now here comes your boy Olaf.
Yeah, gonna get the Mark of the Storm. Flash immediately does come out. Good stun comes in, and Smeb should be falling. Takes a little while, but Mightybear does walk away and isn't killed by the turret.
No surprise, Olaf topside gank happens, and Kayle is so damn weak. 3-6, and even her level 6, if she's far enough away from the turret, she's gonna die anyway. So goes down there. But it's a good recall timing. Gets a Sheen on first back, can't get a Dark Seal to join it, but you're feeling pretty decent as Smeb, because his CS is so strong. It's not one of those awful first backs where you die and buy a Sapphire Crystal and also a Dark Seal. Getting Sheen here, the amount of time it took to get off that gank is big. Mightybear used his Predator. Let's see if Smeb gets greedy, because right now the minion wave's in an awkward spot.
Well, there's the flash in from Mightybear. Smeb gets the double slow with the Q, which is huge, but still, the fight is happening, and he's well and truly dead. Mark of the Storms were stacked, and VSG take down the Kale for a second time.
Unfortunately, he caught 2 cans of Graggy Ice, and that's enough to make him pass out for a while. Not sure if they can advertise that on their packaging, but goodbye to Kale, and this back timing will be way more annoying because of all the minions being missed in bot lane.
Yeah, that's a pretty good taunt. Does have to get the cleanse out there from Minit, who does have the grey health in. Devour comes forward. Moo is in trouble. KT really fighting strong here, bottom side.
And Moo was this player who caught us out of nowhere in the Kesper Cup. Came in as the Kongdu Monster Challengers trainee after Kongdu were relegated. 17 years old, still to today, so one of the youngest players. The 2001 birthday for Moo. But his Ezreal looked otherworldly in the Kesper Cup. He was awesome on that pick. Less effective outside of Ezreal and Lucian, by far his most played when he's played. And remember, it has been Veritas playing for other games in Challengers. So of any player who's likely to look like a rookie, to look second tier, the fact that Moo is making his debut on this big stage in front of the biggest crowd he's ever been around as a very tender young AD carry with a lot of talent, as we've seen. Let's see if Moo can find the right amount of boldness. He wants lane control against Xayah and Galio, but the cost should not be death.
Well, at the moment, things are very even here on the bottom side of the map. I think it's 1 minion in advantage as the waves crash together. As VOD, he's farming pretty nicely. The Lissandra matchup can be a rough one here for the Akali, and VOD decided he'd take it into it. See how this mid game is going to unfold, though, because you can see Smeb still has a CS advantage. He's still having a pretty decent time here on the Kale, despite dying 2 times. Mightybear will have pretty accelerated Cinderhulk here in the early game because he's been part of 2 of those kills. Needs to start affecting the rest of the map here. Rem will have some setup for him if he decides the mid lane is where they want to go, but Kali a difficult one to gank because SnowFlower gets 1 taunt. Minit, remember, doesn't have the cleanse available. Moo doesn't have any mana available, and KT have a lot of control and Score waiting in the wings.
They don't spot him.
Check
they
him.
Don't know he's there.
This is real dangerous. Okay, SnowFlower has a flash, the double taunt, and the double knock-up from Score as well. Cataclysm will secure the 2 kills, and SnowFlower perfectly tanks the turret.
It's like you're watching a YouTube playthrough of Amnesia, and you know that the big jump scare is coming, but unfortunately the streamer doesn't. In this case, Moo and Minit into the death chamber. Choose their option of where to put the ward. That one did not work out.
Nope, that was not what we wanted. As Smeb, he smells the sharks. And Mightybear will walk over this control ward. Smeb is going to be rewarded for his foresight. But not going to be rewarded with the minions underneath this turret.
And doesn't this feel like the glass half full explanation of why to go for the Klepto top lane Kale? Yes, Kale has died twice, but Smeb has CS'd well, and now this extended camp topside is at a heavy cost bot lane. The expected winning Varus Tahm Kench is now not winning. They're in the death chamber, 2 kills shared between the 3 members of KT, and the CS is kept up from KT, so honestly, I feel like KT is winning out these trades with how everything is going.
Yeah, well, Score, he's hanging around here towards the top side of the map. Riris not going to be able to get into this lane, and feels like more of a wave gank rather than anything else. Minit comes back, immediately taunted once more, does have flash available. Cleanse is going to be up in a couple of seconds. Licks Zenit, but otherwise everything's going to be fine here for VSG. Bottom side of the map, KT picking up this minion wave, and VOD picking up some damage here as we pan to the mid.
And I guess the best way to summate how I feel like this game is played out is, let's consider a game where Smeb falls way behind and Moo and Minit fall way behind. Who is the stronger team in that scenario? Smeb will always... Oh,
yeah, flash in.
No kill going to be had, but Smeb will always have his ult to negate the burst damage on the pick comp from VSG. And that will always be there because it doesn't scale particularly with anything. However, VSG, if the Varus and Tahm Kench are rotating second around the map and not actually the Siege duo they can prove to be a not winning lane, I actually feel like VSG lose a lot. So right now, it feels like VSG are losing and KT are only gaining extra.
Well, Mightybear's down here for this 3v3 that could potentially come in. They don't have the information on the side of KT to predict that one, but Score is going to move towards his blue buff. See whether he gives it over to BDD or not. It's pretty nice for the energy regen, especially for that of Akali who wants to be spamming those Qs.
Are they not aware of that control ward?
Yeah, I mean, it's been there for a long time.
It almost deserves a name.
Yeah.
Let's call it LCK Summer 2019.
Yeah.
seems to still be there for KT.
Well, I mean, KT's been doing well. I kind of want to call it 2018 summer.
No. Come on. Don't bring that up today.
Oh, okay, I won't.
It's too early still.
It might help everyone stay not excited, possibly. That's what I'm thinking. Double Cloud, speaking of not excited.
Can you get excited about not getting relegated?
I think so. I don't know.
What a hollow victory for our reigning champions until 2 days ago.
Yep. First time in history that it's happened. Immediately in the promotion tournament after being the champions. I mean, remember, oftentimes it was SKT who were the champions, then teams like Kingzone that showed so much dominance. Rolster Gaming, of course, being the name that they managed to get one on.
Happy that they're taking the very early introduction to the Rift Herald. KT picked up that second Cloud Drake. Some more gold, not going to Moon Minute. Remember that. Moon Minute are going to be delayed on their item timings, and while it's not a huge CS lead, it's still a lead for the Xayah and Galio and Varus and Tahm Kench. Being ripped apart left, right, and center. Here's 4 members trying to dunk him.
Make that 5 as the teleports come in. Great double knock-up once again, but the Devour Flash will get the Varus out of the way. The Claw comes in. There's the ultimate, and oh, Zenit had the ult on top of him as well, coming in from the Kayle, but it's not quite enough. The Ignite comes down, but it is going to be a positive trade here for VSG. Oh, I take it all back. 2 for 2 here between the two teams under the turret. And the first dive was clean, the second was horrendous.
It was definitely a trade up for VSG because look who's alone. Riris just auto-attacking down and will get this turret over time. It was an awful turret dive, Atlas, because Xayah took the turret aggro, never ideal, but things happen, but then used her ult at the same time as Kayle ult. So they actually didn't even get multiple turret shots from investing Kayle's time. So Kayle loses out all this farm and her turret.
Yeah, straight up disaster. Riris is going to get all of the turret plates and has a huge lead. 1,700 gold at almost 13 minutes into the game is a bit of a disaster here for the top lane of KT. Thankfully, it is Kayle.
Turret dives are trust falls, and you have the lift off and the Kayle ult. So watch the turret aggro. It goes on to Zenit, you notice, on the top side over time, but he gets the Kayle ult, doesn't realize it's coming, and uses the Xayah ult. So they end up taking extra turret shots, and they don't even get a 2 for 1, they get 2 for 2, which is pretty awful given the scenario.
Yeah, it's just huge here for VSG. See, the coach is pretty excited about how this one went. We'll see how they're going to be able to snowball this one. Currently, about a 1.4k gold lead. Not a huge deal. VOD does have Gunbleed. Completed Smeb. Very close to the Trinity Force, which has been the popular build here in Korea.
In pro play, yes, and in solo queue from the start, yes, but actually the trend has changed. I've been researching Kayle
AP
builds.
has happened a lot more, right?
A lot of on-hit Kayle has returned.
Oh, wow, okay.
With Witsend, Nashor's Rageblade kind of builds. There's been a lot less of this AD build, but in pro play, it is usually the build because the Sheen Burst feels so good and it builds naturally from there. Small visual bug with the charge coming in. That's a gold charge.
Confusing stuff coming in here, but there's the flash out. The Ragnarok used. Rem is going to be able to pick up the aggro. Smeb's in position, goes golden. That's the second ult. VOD helps lock down the kill for the Kayle. And now SnowFlower turns up. Mightybear gets Cataclysm. That's a great devour from Minit. Mightybear will be able to walk out. It is score falling down. SnowFlower so close as VOD stunned. Dives on top of Riris now as Smeb is still there with the DPS, and Zenit will turn up. VOD flashes, picks up one. Zenit's in there with the ultimate. Moo is going to be dead. Double kill for the Xayah, and Minit is going to follow. VOD just wanted to utilize a Kayle ultimate for some reason, and KT will be able to celebrate after a one-team fight.
KT get the wipe. This could have been cleaner from both sides, but it's the promotion tournament, not the finals. So when you watch the replay, it's going to VOD review neither coach will love. Mightybear wants the gold charge. That's why he walks up in an area where he doesn't have any vision lead. Gets the gold charge, but then of course it's going to be turned on. And VSG at this point call off the fight. They say, all right, pull back. Rem's going to die. Riris doesn't dive in. He doesn't have flash. He has Exhaust Ignite because he switched over. It could be over, a 1 for 0 for a gold charge instead. Mightybear goes too boldly, but he could be disengaged, and this could end for VSG, and it's pretty good, salvaging things, all things considered, but they're so greedy to dive back in again that by the time Zenit joins, there's bonus kills to be gotten. VSG could have given it up as a 0 for 1, could have taken a 1 for 1, but they thought they could get a 1 for 0, a 3 for 1, and that's where their greed is turned around by KT.
Yeah, and I think that exhaust was supposed to go on VOD as well.
Here indeed.
Nice who's coming in here from KT, who are trying to salvage what has been a pretty rough early game for them. VSG still with a gold lead. Rem going to be able to get out of this gank in the mid lane, but KT have decided to stop the laning phase. They're parking SnowFlower and Zenit towards the mid lane, and it will be Smeb just farming up against this bottom lane duo of VSG.
And VSG got so much turret gold from plates because, of course, the solo gold top side. Went to the cannon on the botched turret dive. That was what got VSG into the driver's seat of this game in many ways. It's slowed down from there. We now have almost gold parity between the two teams. And Atlas, what I want to point out is that last play where they could have abandoned the Lissandra, pulled back, got a kill, then got greedy. That feels like first game on stage nerves in the second game of the series. And that's the reality of a 5-man swap. No one's feeling steady. No one's stage ready because no one's warmed up. After watching game number 1, they're sitting there saying, we have to win, we're 0-1 down. It's not even a best of 5, but it feels like they lost something in that particular play.
Well, Smeb is ascending again very, very soon. Not sure whether he managed to get the extra skill point. And the skin confused me, so see whether it is going to be level 11 or whether he already has second level of ascendancy.
I believe he has, if the ranged auto attack there, like you know it, right? So we'll get that confirmation next time. So here now we get the full confirmation. I believe the icon changed, so regardless, moot point now. No skill points to count, but Smeb is now ascended at that permanent range advantage. And take down the Ocean Drake in just map control, not being on the Olaf side is pretty consequential. While the names have changed, the way we judge the comps haven't changed that much from game number 1 to game number 2.
And KT still have a monopoly on these Drakes. They now have a gold advantage.
Get rid of that Sync Tracer.
Yeah, the Sync Tracer's in there.
It's not updated though.
Oh no!
We need 2019 Sync Tracer.
No, we need summer Sync Tracer, man. That's what we need.
It's getting warm in Korea as well. Finally, we got our big jackets no longer being worn, Atlas.
Yep, don't need to worry about it. Don't need to worry about fitting them into the room as well, which has been a real struggle over winter.
So let's talk about the struggles here. Mu and Minit, like we mentioned, weren't played to and are now down because of their dives 20 CS. Not ideal. The item timing here is actually pretty awful for Mu. He's got 3 boots and just the pickaxe. If you have Berserker Greaves recurve at this point, it's fine, but kind of has the yucky parts of the Rage Blade and soon-to-be Berserker Greaves. So this Varus actually does way less than you expect, and the threat of allowing him to stay in the lane and siege is pretty minimal. Kael's already, got something, and her transformation at level 11 is another bonus, and now it is feeling that glass half empty of the Kael for Varus Tom Kench duo trade we talked about.
Well, you can see Smeb having a pretty good time just punching Riris whenever he can. Riris deals with the minion wave very effectively, though, with that W. Lightning Surge going to be pretty helpful there as well. So, VSG, they tidy up their lanes as best they can, but this bottom lane outer should be falling very soon. Mid lane also in trouble, and that will mean that KT will be able to extend that global lead, and this may help as well. A score dives in on a Mightybear. You can see the rest of KT were ready to come on over. SnowFlower, finger on the R button. Heroic entrance is an option, and that will guarantee outer turret here for Smeb.
Olaf's flash is also about 5 seconds, 6 seconds away from cooldown at the time, so was the potential to trap him. Is up now. We're seeing a pretty defensive fight here. Very risky to walk through narrow crevices as this Varus Tom Kench. So Varus is going to go back to the mid lane. Akali has that scaling matchup against Lissandra where she outmatches Lissandra. In the side lane, this game goes on. Gunblade Merc Treads is the game going on. So for now, at least, Akali just piling up the CS and VSG's aggressive pieces being used defensively. Alarm bells ringing for VSG.
Yeah, and the really cool thing is that BDD decided that he could go for the Unsealed Spellbook this game as well. So you saw him start with the cleanse, now has teleport as he's entered that side lane. Mercury Treads were completed already, now has himself the Oblivion Orb just to make up for that lack of Sorcerer Shoes magic penetration. So I like the adaptation here from BDD, able to be that split pusher, but also not having that incredibly terrible time against Lissandra without the cleanse.
The flexibility of Unsealed Spellbook is also in the fact that you can park the cleanse and then win a fight with it and teleport in. That's the big thing you can do, right, when the cooldowns overlap in that way. So a lot to like about BDD's mid-game situation here. It does kind of shore up some of their rotational disadvantages that you might get just naturally from Corki versus Lissandra or Kali versus Lissandra. So if you can go Unsealed Spellbook against Lissandra, then Lissandra starts to lose out in multiple ways, and the validity of early round Lissandra takes a second tier move.
Well, Zenit now has the QSS completed, so he's basically got his own cleanse. He'll be able to get out a of a lot of the CC that is coming in here. I feel like any sort of cleanse has extreme value against VSG's composition. Everyone, apart from Mightybear being able to lock you up. Minit, of course, able to eat you. As KT move themselves towards the top side, outer turret in mid is still available. Zenit is going to park himself there as Smeb. He's just trying to take this one down as best he can. Q going to miss. It looks like Rem will have enough wave clear to stop that tower from falling. So a bit of a lull state, as our good friend LS would say here at about the 20-minute mark. See whether KT are going to be the team to make the move, because once again, we feel like KT moving into the later stages of the game are feeling happier and happier.
It's because the pieces on VSG are best piloted aggressively. Speaking of aggression, I see a turret dive soon.
Yep, Smeb's going to get ulted. Does still have that Divine Judgment available. There's the Abyssal Voyage, but no Justice Punch is going to land there from SnowFlower. Score goes golden, but he's surrounded by 5 members, and Moo is going to grab that kill comfortably. BDD with a full health bar, but doesn't find the Shuriken backflip. And that is just one easy pick there to score it overextended.
The execution was really poor from KT. SnowFlower missed a taunt flash on Rem, who wasn't moving on Lissandra. Seemed half-hearted at best. I understand it's not flashing because it's Lissandra, but he flashed and missed, so that's not what you want to see. Then it's going to clean up a mid-lane turret. The point we wanted to get to is that Varus Tahm-Kench sieging, great. Varus Tahm-Kench being pushed into, not so good. Lissandra, as the game goes on, becoming predictable, not so great. Roam advantage, great. Taunt flash misses like we see. This is where KT should be putting VSG in the ground, and yet they mess up their execution, and it feels like the 9th placed LCK team rather than KT Rolster, famous Korean org.
Yeah, or the Summer Champions of 2018. Of course, we do have a new champion in SK Telecom heading towards MSI. But it was all season long that we had to talk about KT as being our champions of Korea.
Well, we kind of stopped saying.
We certainly did.
It seemed like an insult at some point. But he's on the flank here, and he's pretty big, as we know.
Yep, he's going to get that Shroud down. Devour comes in, but Minit, will he be able to actually get Moo to safety? Backline, though. Slicing Maelstrom is massive, and KT's health bars are falling low. Flash out from Zenit, and he's removed from the fight by Rem. Now SnowFlower has the ultimate on top of him. It's a good taunt as BDD. A lot of damage, and Smeb as well. At half health, just able to get so much consistent DPS. BDD falls down, but Smeb picks up the pieces, and VSG run for the hills.
KT trying to make it difficult for themselves, even with some great tools against VSG's comp, yet they still get over the line. They still keep up with the Mountain Drake. It's weird, it's wonderful, it's relegations, but KT, they stay a step ahead.
Yep, they do. It feels like they're piecemealing themselves together, team fights at the end here.
Remember, we say that KO's value is the fact that they have a diver in the Akali. The enemy has a comp that blows up one person well. KO needs to be in position to use her utility, but KO comes in from a flank. She's not cannon, so unfortunately, they lose their AD carry for free to begin this play, and yet BDD's farmed up enough. VSG is already behind in terms of items. The item lead is eventually what babies them over, but the execution, not fantastic enough to win anyway.
How long was Score sitting on that dragon? It was a bit of a confusing fight there on the Jarvan's perspective, but might have missed a few things there in the replay. Moo tries to clear up this minion wave, but the lanes are getting longer and longer here for VSG as this game goes on, and you can see they've only been able to sneak a few wards past that river. You could imagine that KT now looking to focus on their Baron Vision, Double Cloud, an Ocean, and a Mountain Drake. Means that they'll be able to get to that Baron Pit, regen up a bit, and kill it faster.
And to once again be clear to our viewers who have not seen Korean KO before, the build path in pro play and till about the last 2 weeks in solo queue has been this build of Trinity Force, Rapid Fire Cannon, Infinity Edge. Basically, your Corki impersonation on the KO. A lot more on-hit builds. Nemesis Pentakill, of course, was an on-hit build, the hybrid build that was kind of expected for KOs around the world. Korea has been transitioning away from this build to more hybrid builds, but Smeb sticking to what he knows, sticking to what they scrimmed, and the IE third on the way.
Yeah, it will be the 100% crit build as well. You build a secondary Zeal
Essence
item,
Reaver
and then Essence Reaver comes in as the final item, if he's going to follow along from what players like Noguri have popularized.
Hey, true damage AoE crits are just like magic damage
Sounds
crits in some
good,
ways, right? So you understand the validity there.
Yep, just means that there are a lot of schools of thought when it comes to the KO. There's AP, there's crit, there's also the on-hit that you've been talking about. So Smeb, he's going to go the crit route this time, and I think regardless of what you do, she does pretty good if you buy more items.
And that's why we liked the trade that happened with VSG camping top and KT camping bot is Hold the point for now as it moves pretty far up.
Yep, Devour has to be used very early in this one. The ultimate did come out from the Varus, but got absolutely nothing done. And now BDD dives in. Shroud goes down. That's going to be the ultimate used. Divine Judgment. The flank comes in from the back as Riris gets damaged. Onto 2 with the Slicing Maelstrom, but no one's going to die. Heroic Entrance comes forward. It does have to be a stopwatch used by REM, but he has to get devoured afterwards and isn't able to get damage in there. KT, they're softened up. And no one has fallen apart from Moo early in the fight.
Both teams being pretty respectful at the tail end of those engages means that health bars on both sides take a huge hit, but only Moo dies. So we back away from that play. No one was able to capitalize on what was a huge flank coming through from Riris. Flanks was still poking. I think Minit went too far.
Yep, the Grey Health is going to be in there. Has to activate it very early. The flash does come forward as Smeb is just hitting whatever is in front of him. Very scary on the Kale at this stage, 3-2-7, and casually has himself a 400 gold bounty after being targeted and 0-0, 2 levels behind in the early game.
So watch the replay here. The flank opportunity was big, but it's after Moo walks up. Again, it's all about baiting out the Devour. The Devour's down, you assume the fight is over. And KT, see something like BDD, hard engages with the Kalos, the confidence just dive in. Riris can't really flank anymore as a level 14 cannon, but as we notice with Moo dead, it's very difficult for there to be damage to kill enemy members. Chunk them, yes, but actually kill them, much more tricky.
Yeah, and it felt like the Heroic Entrance was going to be high value, but then, you know, the Zhonya's was there, the Ragnarok was there as well, so unfortunately not actually able to lock anyone down, and KT weren't able to continue that fight after that point.
And the fight actually also, just to finish my previous point, illustrates what KO can do. Put the ult on the Akali, she does the rest of the work. Doesn't matter if you build AP, AD, or have no items, you can always do that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, how does Varus do damage when it's not about sieging as Tom Kench and Varus? He needs to warm up his Rage Blade from behind as a squishy Varus, and then just dies. So they're not able to get value out of the duo that's behind on the side of VSG, and Kale will always do something. In fact, she's going to do a lot of things. She's level 16.
Level 16 and with the Infinity Edge. When it comes to item spikes and power spikes in general, you know that I'm a massive fan. This is probably one of the biggest ones in the game that has just been completed here from Smeb. Zenit almost has his IE as well as SnowFlower. You can see VSG knows something up, otherwise this Galio would not be here as flag and drag, get score out of there before he can get stunned as Mightybear might be in trouble. BDD looking for the flank. Riris as well, not going to be able to get there in time. Good backflip. Closes the gap there for the Akali, but loses half of his health bar. Chunks out Mightybear, and now KT have an opportunity to head towards this Cloud Drake for their 3rd of the game and their 5th Drake in general.
Riris has most of the gold on VSG, had flash, could have come over the wall. KT smart not to try to push into this inner turret any longer. Going to be a free Cloud Drake, but that's definitely the one you want to give up as a freebie for VSG. And if you can find a way to get one more item on cannon, and specifically level 16, start to hit and hope that this one big flank from Kennen, if they catch Xayah and Kale and find a way to burst down one of them, there's always the chance that they can actually turn around what should be a teamfight advantage for KT.
Well, Ocean Drake going to be spawning the 6th Drake of the game, and KT could have 6 heading towards the Elder Drake that will be spawning. Man, that is going to be a lot of on-hit damage if they are able to take that one down, as Rem setting up, looking for SnowFlower, who did go back and purchase himself a stopwatch. You can tell that KT want to fight for this Baron, and they want to fight for it soon. Control Ward goes down. They have control of the pit. Now, can they actually wield Smeb in this next team fight? Will Zenit be able to free hit? Can KT tidy up this team fight play? Because this is what it's going to come down to.
Now, a lot of KT's fights are more forgiving. They have double IE 80 carries who can, of course, burst with their first auto compared to a Rage Blade carry who's behind. So many scenarios should be benefit KT, and yet, one Slicing Maelstrom later, maybe we're talking about VSG getting back into the series.
Yeah, Mightybear taking
Here
some
it
damage.
is!
Riris flashes forward. The ultimates do come out, though. Smeb keeps himself alive. Zenit survives in the backline, and Riris is going to be the first target. Smeb gets rid of him after the Zhonya's 2 kills. Immediately erupt as there's no more solo lanes for VSG and KT. They tidy up the team fight from before. They get a double kill for the Kale, and they will have the Baron.
They get double backline access, but no one dies, Atlas. They need a numbers advantage to keep fighting to allow Moo to have the space to hit. Unfortunately, Moo can't put out any damage in that fight, and KT say thank you very much. We delete Baron.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful pivot from what was the earlier disastrous dive. This time, it was Featherstorm utilized by Zenit, and Smeb had his own Divine Judgment in order to keep him himself alive through the slicing Maelstrom. That could have been a huge disaster. As speaking of which, Moo is also just, oh no, Mightybear is here. The flash forward from B2D secures it. I was wondering, I was like, oh, no, definitely going to be able to take down that Varus. B2D in the side lane. Now with the Baron buff is terrifying.
I'm going to get the replay, backline access, stunning two members, Kale and also the Xayah. That's what we wanted. They get it, but both negating ultimates are used. And watch how Moo gets solo zoned by BDD. He's not strong enough to try to fight with his front line. They can't kill anyone, even though Xayah's out of the fight early. She's not dead. And from there, Kale says, thank you very much. Going to turn on for the kills here. VSG. See the trade they made, and unfortunately the trade seems to be suiting KT, and I think this 2-0 is imminent.
Yeah, inner turret's going to go down bottom side, but the inhibitor is already dead in that mid lane. As KT, when it comes to killing turrets, they have so much damage, it is ridiculous. Now going to transition that siege here to the bottom side. There are 2 siege minions. And KT, it should be a matter of course when it comes to taking this one down. BDD looking for yet another flank on this Akali. Azir into the Akali's going through the alphabet. Things are looking good no matter which letter he's up to. Okay, there's a double taunt. Riris does have slicing Maelstrom as BDD goes low, but Score dives into the backline. Riris will fall. Smeb grabs the first kill. The flash forward from Zenit. Oh my goodness, the engaged Xayah for the double kill, and Rem's going to follow. KT having a party under Nexus turrets, and it looks like a fun one if you're a KT Rolster fan. A 2-0 and only one more game in order to get them back towards the LCK for 2019 summer. A best of 5 can get them there.
While there were certainly pitfalls along the way, KT strong enough to dispatch the VSG B team. 10-man squad, but no victories between the two, and much more convincing in game number 2 than game number 1. But also a reminder that it is the promotion tournament and not the playoffs like KT would have hoped when the roster came together. The game timing was swift. It was only 1 hour and 25 minutes worth of content in our first series. It'll be a pretty long break to the second one, but for KT fans, only one best of 5 separates them between now and a berth in summer, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and if I'm a KT fan, I'm not exactly going to be super happy about how this series went, because some of the team fights, especially in game number 2, were not exactly the ones that you'd want out of a team that is going to come back and challenge in the LCK, but that's what we expected from KT in this particular tournament. VSG members still trying to come to terms with what it means to be here at LOL Park. I have a feeling that the next performance is going to be better as they've given stage time to all 10 of their players on the roster.
Not sure I'm so hopeful about Moo when it comes to a best of 5 in a couple of days. Very, very young. Again, only turns 18 in October of this year, so a 17-year-old coming in. Set behind because the team focused on killing the Kale and not solidifying Varus Tom Kench, and then by the end, unfortunately, was a bit of a caster minion, so going to be difficult to pick him up. You saw the coach trying to give him a bit of love there.
Yeah.
He definitely had the unique struggle of the 10. Smeb smiles. He finds a time. He's been through the ups and downs. Remember, Smeb was on the down before he was on the up. His time on Incredible Miracle was so forgettable in years past. A lot of his favorites around in the crowd. Gorilla. The 5 Coup Tigers come together, and the only one on the Rift goes 2-0, but it's a relegation tournament. Funny how the years change the story.
Exactly right. And the Rocks Tigers aren't actually there. Peanut, I didn't actually see him.
Coup Tigers are here.
I know, the Coup Tigers are here, but we don't get the Rocks ones just yet. Peanut, of course, probably still preparing himself after what was a difficult spring split. Summer is coming, guys. KT win. And if there is the ultimate roller coaster ride, how good would it be to go from Summer Champions 2018, relegation in 2019 for Summer, and then come back and win Summer again? That would be the most KT Rolster thing you can possibly do.
But doesn't it feel like lazy plotting? Because usually it was this team entrenched in top 3, top 4. They had only missed playoffs once in 2015 spring. And now it feels like people stopped watching, so they were like, what if they were relegated then won Worlds? Wow.
Yeah.
So it feels a bit lazy. It feels like we're just kind of amping the explosions and making it all a little bit amusing, but the reality is far from amusing. They're in the relegation tournament. Yes, they were able to win 2-0, but this was not summer champions,
Yeah, it
just
wasn't
blitzing
convincing.
the competition. They were still convincing winners, but they were unconvincing in their own internal consistency. All their fans can say, though, is the simple. They won 2-0, and they're still going to be a favorite against a lot of their potential opposition come the best of 5.
Yeah, in this tournament, that is definitely correct. This dive was the one that went completely wrong for KT. Thankfully, they did shore up their team fighting when it came to the final team fight. But VSG just didn't feel like they were up to the same level as KT Rolster in this particular series. We'll see whether ES Sharks are going to do better when them and Jinair hit the rift in an hour or so.
Seems like we will have an interview with Minit. No MVPs in the promotion tournament. There's 2 teams that get promoted and 2 teams that don't. That's really the stakes discussed. I see Smeb getting ready behind us, so I guess he's going to be the one talking as the captain of KT. VSG, what do they start when they play their next game? I feel like they don't actually get to apply too much scientific method. I think Moo and Minit probably will be on the subs bench for game number 1, but apart from that, VSG not too much takeaway in their first series of the promotion tournament.
And Papa, if you were to donate an MVP, who do you think you'd give it to here for KT, including both games?
It's actually really hard. There's no one I think that was ultra convincing.
I think BDD probably gets it for me if I was to hazard a guess.
He made the least stuff-ups, so that probably...
Yeah, that's sort of how I thought about it.
We'll give it to BDD then. But I think Smeb's going to have a chat because he's the captain, and I don't think they're thinking too much about individual accolades, I should say, when it comes to the relegation tournament. They want to go home, and I guess the winners match is what? Thursday?
Yep.
Is going to be the winners best of 5. KT versus the winners of our second series. I know some people aren't used to this, especially if you're a new fan. What's a promotion relegation tournament? We're the only region without franchising, which means 2 teams keep their spot or get relegated each split. And KT Rolster, as the 9th place finisher, now at least have 2 more lives to keep themselves into LCK Summer 2019.
Yep. And this was KT taking the series. We're going to have a look at the graph. A lot of damage done by both Lysandra and the Kale. But the Kale, with it being so back-ended, did so much in those last few team fights. And like you said, I think that Moo and Minit really didn't show up here in Lowell Park. They were great in the Kesper Cup, like you were mentioning. I was really excited to see Moo. But I feel like Veritas might be back for their best of 5.
Again, he would have been 9 years old when Champions started. He's having his first game on the stage in Lowell Park. It's a lot to ask to come in subbed in of a 0-1 and perform instantly as a 17-year-old. But that was the task given to him, and I think Moo was really off the pace in game 1. He's a name, I think, that we will look back on and remember this game as a counterpoint to what should hopefully be a very fruitful career. But today, the performance wasn't there.
Yeah, it wasn't quite there, but a lot of these players are very young, like you say, 17 for Moo, so it certainly does have a bright future for him. And now KT, their future gets a little bit brighter as well. Still need to win 1 more, and it is going to be a best of 5. Double elimination bracket does mean you have to prove yourself, see whether they can do it moving forward. The interview is now going to be coming up. So Minit's joined by Smeb, and we've got Ji-Sun for translation.
Thank you very much. Guys, we're going to be hearing from the team captain, Smeb from KT Rolster. Congratulations on the win. You guys are moving into the winners match. So after the regular split, how did the preparation go for about 2 weeks? So there was no way back. So we kind of renewed our mental fortitude and prepared really hard. What has changed throughout the 2 weeks of preparation? We tried our best to group up as a team. That was the focal point of our practice, and our practice has been going really well recently. And that's why we were able to show some of the good performance today. And I heard you guys are grinding really hard on solo queue as well. We all did our best in our preparation, including the solo queues. It did impact us a lot. Well, VSG, they were in a good momentum, you know, having a reverse sweep, and they also always utilize their 10-man roster. So how did you prepare for that? Yeah, we have no experience fighting up against them, so it was a little bit tricky to prepare. However, we have a lot of experience, we are full of veterans, so we had quite a bit of a confidence during our practice.
제가 2번 죽었을 때
And when I died twice in game, I said sorry for my teammates.
그게 가장 기억에 남습니다.
That was the most memorable maybe moment for me today.
자, 오늘 쿨악스 동료들께서도 이 자리에
the Ku
많이
Tigers
와주셨습니다.
players
지금
came out to
아직도
support
앉아
you.
계신데요. 도움이 좀 되셨나요?
Did that help?
힘을 받으셨나요?
아무래도 저기
Well,
있는 선수들도 잘
those players,
못하고
they're
한국에
not
일찍 왔더라고요.
doing well. They're early in
그래서
Korea.
좀 힘이 됐던 것 같고.
So yeah, I got some
앞으로도
energy from them.
다 같이 잘 됐으면 좋겠습니다.
We all can
네,
like
같이
pick up some
힘내서
better results.
했으면 좋겠습니다. 자, 이제 승자전 앞두고 있는데요.
So you guys
스맵
are
선수의
going
화끈한
to the
각오 한
winners
말씀
match.
들어볼게요.
How we're gonna prepare for
네,
that.
좀 이제 한 경기가 남았다고
So we
생각하고
have one
싶은데요.
best of 5 left.
좀
I just want to
좋은
believe it. So
경기력으로 좀
I just want to like
멋있게 이겨서
have a really
멋있게
awesome
잘
victory
이뤄가겠습니다.
against our
감사합니다.
opponents
네,
and show some
꼭
great performance to our
잘
fans.
이뤄내시길 기도하겠습니다.
So I
팬분들
hope you
다시
guys
한번
can remain in
큰 박수
LCK, and
부탁드립니다.
this will be the end of the interview with Smeb from KT Rolster, picking
네,
up
오늘
2-0
승리
victory
축하드리고요. 인터뷰
up against
감사합니다.
VSG.
감사합니다.
네, 스맵 선수
And I'm gonna
만나봤습니다.
pass it back to our
중계선
casters.
연결할게요.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for the translation. And it is going to be a long break, Papa Smithy. I think we've got about an hour and a half until Jenner is going to be taking on the ES Sharks.
LEC and LCK synergy, right? Those matches, unfortunately. Look at the LEC final, look at the LCK final.
Yeah.
We're the friends at the moment. All our series just goes super fast. So yeah, guys, an hour 25 at least till picks and bans start. A little bit less for the broadcast to start, but 7:50 p.m. Korean Standard Time and whatever your local time zone. We'll be back for ES Sharks versus Jin Air. And while we just saw an LCK team kind of slap away a Challengers hopeful, I think the LCK team in our second series is going to have to show a lot to get over the line against ES Sharks, who do come in the overall first place team and arguably the favorite in our second series.
Yeah, slightly less as far as points was concerned against APK Prince, but were the team to get the higher match score as we have a look at how things are going to go here for the summer promotion. Of course, double elimination bracket is the easiest way to describe it, as I believe next match should be KT taking on the winner of our next match, and the team that wins there in that best of 5 will be promoted to the LCK, and it could be that Jin Air wins the next one and we get a guaranteed LCK team back in.
And the double advantage here is if you make it to the winner's match, it's played on Thursday, so you have your chance that day to be into LCK. But also, if you notice, you then don't play again till Sunday, so you get to watch your potential opponents play in that loser's match afterwards. So there's a double advantage, almost like you double stack by making it to the winner's final, because you get the prep advantage and, of course, the first shot at making it to LCK.
Exactly right, and that's Thursday, Friday, so the next day they sit back and they watch. But guys, speaking of which, you got about an hour and a half until we're live again with ES Sharks versus Jin Air.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, oh, with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. This is it, baby.